Let's recap the last couple of episodes. I attempted to sail solo from Hilton Head Island to the Abacos in the Bahamas, but the mighty Gulf Stream had different plans for me.
Now the wind just shifted, it's on my nose right now. I'm still in the Gulf Stream.
After 3 days of no sleep, I ran into some drama in terms of both weather in the Gulf Stream and problems with my boat.
What's happening with these sails? And I've got it in full close hauled mode. I gotta pull in this shit.
In the moment, I truly thought I had narrowly escaped death.
I just had like a life-changing moment. Pardon me. My autopilot went out, and then the head sail was flapping around everywhere, and it got tangled.
Eventually, I got the autopilot working again, which was probably my biggest concern. But by this time, I had committed to turning around. I just needed to swallow my pride, assess other boat issues, and regroup. So in this episode, we pick up where we left off, turning back and heading for Jacksonville, Florida.
Alright, so after a long days of getting back to civilization, I made it back to Jacksonville. So for some of you who want to know kind of the full range of what this sailing lifestyle is all about, I wanted to bring you in on this entry into the approach back into any kind of port. So here's how I do it. First of all, I've got my autopilot working again, thankfully, which makes a huge help. And I got my Navionics on my phone. I'll show you that. Alright, so here's my Navionics. This is what I've done today. 102 nautical miles, 15 hours. That was from where I was stranded in the middle of nowhere. On the entering St. John's River, obviously you're going to look for the red and green markers. Red is going to be on the right, green on the left. Red right returning. And I'm going to follow that in to this river, and I'm going to go to a marina, and I'll show you what it looks like in real life. All right, there's the green light. There is the red light, and those are my navigation lights on the front reflecting back. You get the idea of the navigation, what it's like. Here's another visual of this green one. So you've got to look closely at the charts, because as you can see, it looks like a field of red and green lights and different colored lights up there. So you really have to pay close attention to this chart, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to turn off the camera. Because I've got to start paying close attention here. So it's the next day, and I am feeling a bit more refreshed. I'm at a random marina in Jacksonville, Mayport area. I pulled in last night about midnight, and it's in the middle of this kind of very industrial zone, right next to this ferry that goes by. So at what is it, like 5 a.m. I start hearing these major horn blasts from the ferry. But now I'm going to assess the damage from yesterday, and I already see something kind of significant from the mainsail. And let me show you. So I've got a few of these slides here that have broken. That there is broken, and I've got a few of these. Here's one that's broken completely. So that's going to be a immediate necessary fix before I can even get back on the road. Anyway, feeling better. Have rested a little. Any rest is better than none for 3 days, so feeling pretty good. Yes, it can help you. Also, I'm assessing my reefing line, and this is not good. that had already cut through more than half of the reefing line that goes here to this reefing point back to this pulley system. I do not know why this is chafed so badly right there. That is quite concerning. So I just got back from a couple of errands here in Jacksonville. The marina here where I'm at, Morningstar Marina, right next to the Navy base. You got the helicopters all day. All right, so my errands for the day, I went to West Marine and I got this VHF handheld for the cockpit. So one of the problems I've already run into in this kind of shakedown cruise mode is I have found one big issue is that yes, the VHF radio works well in the cabin, but you're not in the cabin when you're trying to drive the boat, and that's when you most need the VHF, especially when you're coming in and out of a marina or you're trying to find locations, a fuel dock, and that sort of thing. So I got the handheld, which should work wonders by having it by the helm station, and that'll be a lifesaver. Second, let me show you what we got. Met the coolest guy, and I'm so pissed off that I did not have my camera with me at the moment. But a guy named Tom White, best sailmaker I've ever met in Jacksonville. If you look up Wind Dancer Sailmaker Jacksonville, you'll see his shop. He's a one-man show. This place was amazing. His advice was great. He sat down with me for a half hour and just talked about sailing adventures. And anyway, nicest guy ever. So, to replace, if you recall, I showed you earlier one of the casualties from yesterday's craziness at 4 a.m. in the Gulf Stream. We had several of these that snapped, including that one. So I wanted to get a few metal ones. He said if you want to even go better and it's a little bit more old school, he said if you want to go stronger but a more old school style, use these metal clamps instead of the webbing strap. And I got that instead of the strap, and then this is a metal piece of a slide that's never gonna break. He said go old school and it'll never break. So he gave me a whole handful of those little straps. He said he's had them, they're used, he's had them for years, and he hasn't been able to get them away or use them. So he gave me a huge amount. Where's my bag? Where did I put my bag of goodies? Okay. Oh, here we are. So he gave me a handful of those things. I had to buy the slides from him, but he ended up giving me, check this out, he gave me a bunch of these strap things, probably 10 or something. I bought a few of these. These were kind of pricey. These metal ones were 12 bucks each. But he said and then I got a few of these replacement plastic ones. The idea is that you want to put the metal ones like every 3 spots. That way, at least if you get a crazy, in a crazy wind situation where you're breaking some of these slides, you've at least got them. So this one only had the metal slides at the top and bottom. Therefore, in the middle, you probably have, what, 15 or so plastic slides that if they break, and if one of them breaks, I've heard they can act as like a zipper and just, because you get less strength by losing a few of those spots. So it's probably why a few of mine broke. You put a metal piece like every 3 or so, and you should be good. He said connect them close to the reefing points for sure, because that reefing point you're going to get a lot of extra pressure. So that's what I've done. I've applied that there. I'm going to apply a few more of them and I'll show you the final products. So I've gone ahead and I put the metal one, and then I also noticed there was a sewing job I need to do. See this right here? Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to just do some light sewing right there so that it doesn't rip anymore. So I'm getting here and I'm ready to post this next episode. I've got my computer doing a little editing right here, but I wanted to address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Last episode. So thank you so much for the support. A lot of people have commented, a lot of people have reached out to me on email. It was a vulnerable time, obviously. It was not easy to post it. I am still going forward. I am going to make it to the Bahamas on this vlog, so don't worry about that. And there are going to be more videos to come. Now, with that said, I mean, probably 90% of the comments were positive, right? 90%, maybe 10% negative. To the 10% negative, let me just kind of give you some background. What was happening is I was part of this rally, the Salty Dogs rally out of Virginia, right? But I was in constant communication with a weather forecaster, a guy named Chris Parker, who on the East Coast is very well known for giving people weather routes and kind of guiding them through planning of routing, right? I was in touch with Chris Parker. He was telling me which way to go through the Gulf Stream. It wasn't just I'm blindly going out there, you know, risking my life and risking having the Coast Guard come out, all that. I was going through it in a very strategic manner. Had some hiccups with some of the routing. Actually, there was a typo that Chris had sent me, and it messed up a couple of things on the routing. And then I had the boat issues, so I made the choice. I think it was the wise choice to turn around and head back to Florida. So, you know, it was a calculated risk and a calculated choice to head back. So people that were just completely, oh, you have no experience whatsoever, you shouldn't be out there, you're the type of people who get the Coast Guard involved and waste all of our taxpayer money and this and that. Not exactly. So unless you know what you're talking about, no need to, you know, throw hate out there on the comments. I also saw this, for example, with there was a post from Elena from Sailing La Vagabond recently, in her own vlogging, obviously, was people were being negative about the way she was raising her child. She's like, look, you see, and this goes for me too, you see a very tiny percentage of the day that I choose to put the camera on. And to be frank, a lot of it is, you know, if it's good for TV, I'll keep it in the edit. That last episode, for example, you know, it was 20 hours of sailing and a lot of just chilling out, sitting there. But for about 10 minutes, I got very emotional thinking about everything. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to turn the camera on and I'm going to show you this side of the trip. Some people were like, yo, you're such a crybaby. Oh, I thought you were a military veteran. Here you are crying about your thing. As I'm saying, this was a sleep deprivation, emotional vulnerability. I turned the camera on myself and I decided to share it with you. So again, for those of you who were supportive, thank you so much. For others, you know, I like the constructive criticism. There's a lot of sailors who've reached out to me and have given me some constructive criticism that I have used, you know, on a daily basis on the trip. So I do thank you for giving me supportive feedback and some constructive advice about sailing. I'm the first to admit I'm not a professional sailor, so thank you for that. For the others, you know, I think Casey Neistat says it best. I'll show you a clip.
Probably one of the biggest frustrations of being a creator on YouTube is that, like, we're the ones doing the work. You're just some typing in the comments. Like, while you're sitting there late at night in your underwear spreading hate across YouTube, we're up working. We're working really hard to make things, to put out there, to share ideas and share our perspective. Hating's really easy, creating is really hard.
I don't necessarily want to be as harsh as Casey, but you get the point. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.